All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show, Brothers from Another Mother, where we talk about the trials and tribulations in the life of everyday entrepreneurship. For those who don't know me, my name is Alex Maldonado.
And I'm Renee Atkinson. And if you're wondering why you should watch this show for the most valuable part of your day, which is time in general, I'm gonna start off with three questions. One of them being are you someone that always wants to help everyone else but never helps yourself? Or are you someone who feels that you were meant for something more and haven't accomplished it?
And last but not least, are you someone who encounters great ideas but just never acts upon them? You know, one of the great names in the industry, Patrick Bet-David, says, perfection is the enemy of completion. And if that, my friends, strikes a chord, then tune in, strap in, because we're in for a ride. And with that being said, let's get this show started.
Let's go!
So how you doing, man?
Bro, I am excited, man. So right now, at this point in our podcast journey, we do this every Friday, and let me tell you guys, we're ready to do this on Monday. So when Friday comes around, we're like a racehorse in the gate, ready to go. Let's go!
Yeah, and you know what? I was thinking about it. I think they say after 100 repetitions or after 100 times, you start to really gain some traction. So I was really thinking about it as I was driving to the office this morning. I said, man, I think we should do this Mondays and Fridays. It's 52 weeks, right? So if we do it twice a week,
bam,
that puts us right at 100, a little over 100.
Yeah, let's go.
So I think, and Mondays for some reason, you know, they, for the people that hate Mondays, I love Mondays, baby, because I have very productive weekends.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. We look at Mondays both ways. We run our company off of Mondays as well. So there's two ways that we look at Mondays.
That's right. So how was your week, man?
Man, my week has been amazing. There's been so much progress with the business. So we're destined for great things in 2024. So I'm so excited and eager for this journey. Some time ago, I decided that I was gonna change my mind by changing a certain word, and I was gonna substitute the word excited for nervous. So when I'm nervous about something, I'm not nervous about it. I'm excited about it.
Wow.
And so I'm excited about 2024, brother.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, if there's anything from this week that you remember, or any lesson that you learned this week, if you had to dig in and really in a few words explain if there was any lessons in there, what would it be?
Oof. I think this will resonate with everybody because entrepreneurship is entrepreneurship, and I think in a sense we all are going through the same thing without talking about it. So you know, fortunately, that's what we lay on the line here on Brothers from Another Mother. And so what I feel that is talking to me right now is procrastination. But it's procrastination through the fear of not knowing that particular task at 100% yet. And so because of it, there's anxiety because it needs to get done, but I'm putting it off, and by not addressing it, it causes me the anxiety, and so what I learned was just putting action can solve the both the procrastination and the anxiety. So if you've got anxiety, if you just put action into anxiety's done. Anxiety's gone.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant called it eating the monster. That's what he would say. Every time they would talk to him about anxiety or stress, he said, you just got to figure out who the monster is and eat it.
Nice. I like that.
And that's so true. That is 100% the truth. And I've become very intentional about that, because I figured out that in my early days as an entrepreneur, I would call myself an entrepreneur, but I really wasn't one, because I hadn't learned the number one lesson of poverty. And the number one lesson of poverty is you're the problem. So it doesn't take you, what I'm trying to say is, it doesn't take you long to build a business. It takes you long to become the person that can build the business. I'll put it to you this way. Take me right now and put me at the head of the helm of SpaceX.
Okay.
Amazon.
Okay.
Which other companies come to mind when I say those?
Man, Apple.
Okay. You think with the capabilities that I have, or that you have, I don't want to put you on the spot like that, or that you have, you would be able to run a company of that magnitude? I'm going to answer for myself.
Okay.
Obviously not. If you were to put Jeff Bezos, if you were to put Elon Musk in our space, with the knowledge that they have, with the processes that they have, with the understanding of business that they have, they would quickly adapt and take this company to the next level. In a nutshell, it's not about the business plan. It's about the businessman. And that's what takes long to develop.
I like that.
So, what else? What else can we talk about?
Well, what do we do, first of all? Because we're talking to our listeners here, and they don't know what we do.
Well, we do. We run multiple businesses. So we have a holding company, a managing company that oversees 3 businesses, 2 that are active and 1 that's under construction. So we run a chain of convenience stores, In-N-Out gas station. We've been in the industry for going on 12 years now. And we also run, oddly enough, a petroleum imaging company that does electrical signage. We work with all major brands in the oil industry, like Shell, Marathon, Valero, Sunoco, and many others that are out there. We're also now getting into the QSR space, so we're doing some work for, national companies like Starbucks, McDonald's. What are these guys that just came here? The coffee shop, Dutch Brothers. There you go, Dutch Brothers.
We did all their signage as well.
Yeah, and then DK, all their people from El Paso know they rebranded. So we did that, and then we also are building a fitness facility back in my hometown in Sanelli. So that's been a dream of mine for quite some time now, and now the group that we have is helping bring that to fruition, which I'm very excited about and grateful for. But yeah, man, in a nutshell, that's what we do, and that's what we oversee day in and day out.
Yeah. So whenever we talk about our struggles, or when we talk about entrepreneurial struggles, guys, we're right there with you. We're living it as we speak. Although, it's been going on for 12 years, but the market is constantly changing. So staying ahead of the trend is a big key. Definitely setting goals and striving for that goal rather than living without a goal and not knowing where you're gonna go. So we're right there with you guys. It's gonna be amazing. We're gonna be talking all about everything we've done in the past, and to where we're at right now.
Yeah, man. And you know what? You really you took me back into what I was trying to go. The reason I was so intrigued and so ready for today was because I wanted to talk about lack of action, right? And how that continuously gets in the way of people getting started. And I think it hit home for me this morning as I was driving. You know, I'm excited. Obviously, this is our second episode. And it took me forever to get this started because I was procrastinating. And
so like podcasting in general?
Yeah, podcasting in general. But that also opened up my eyes to how lack of action has been something that is also holding back the other businesses that we have going on. It just so happened to be that starting this podcast opened up my eyes to that being one of my deficiencies. Like, man, it takes you forever. Like, you come up with these great ideas, but it takes you forever to get started because you want to get it perfect, you know? And that's why when I heard that from Patrick Bet-David saying perfection is the enemy of completion, I was like, man, that resonates with me so much. I always have these great ideas, but it takes me forever to get started because I want to get it right.
The first time. Yep.
And think about podcasting. Man, how much information is there out there on how to get a podcast started? You can go on YouTube and you get all these people are trying to tell you, you know, you got to buy this microphone and you got to buy this camera and make sure you script out the next 10 episodes of your podcast. Right there, brother, is when I said, you know what? Interesting. Who in their right mind that is running multiple businesses like we are, that is a full-time father, that is a full-time husband,
yep,
has time to script out 10 episodes of your next show?
Negative.
Man, I was like, I don't want to troll on anybody online, but to me, if you're in the fight, you don't have time for that.
Yep.
And if you're in the fight, you don't need to script anything out. You can come on here, put some headphones on, put two mics, and you can talk about real life scenarios of what you go through day in and day out. That in itself is raw material that people can resonate with.
Yeah. So it reminds me of what Mike Tyson said, right? He said, everybody's got a plan until you get hit in the face.
Oh.
So yeah, you can plan all you want, man, but it doesn't mean that it's going to go that way. And if you don't just get it started, you'll never get there. If you don't take that first step in a marathon, you'll never finish.
No, man. And put it to you this way. It's funny, right? How long did we spend trying to get our introduction right?
It must have been 30 minutes.
Right?
Yeah.
On a scale from 1 to 10, how good do you feel? How good do you feel about that intro?
5. There's going to be a lot of editing.
Yeah, but it'll get better, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you just got to put in the reps. And that's, I'm telling you, man, like, I can't stress that enough. You know, I used to be that guy, I'm telling you, that had all, and you constantly get people telling you, you're just dreaming, you know, you're a dreamer.
Yeah.
You know, like those ideas, we're not meant for that. Like, look at us, you know, we're Hispanic. We immediately go to the color of the skin, you know, we're not meant for that. You weren't bred for that. You know, you're bred for getting your hands dirty and working a regular 9 to 5, you know,
as Hispanic people, or at least the way I grew up, man, was worrying about getting into debt, worrying about you know, not having the money. Therefore, it was an impossibility to do something that was gonna cost too much money. No, ¿cómo lo vas a hacer? You know, ay, va a costar mucho. That's gonna be too expensive.
Yeah.
So we limit ourselves because of it.
Yeah.
But once you start hanging out with the right people and getting around that right mindset, you realize, man, that there's a lot of things out there that can ease that journey. So
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, man. So I've been wanting to ask you this question for quite some time now.
Okay.
Now that we've developed more than a friendship.
Yeah.
But if we could use friendship as a point of reference, what would you say, aside from other relationships that you have, other friendships, what would you say is unique about our relationship?
For me, what's unique about our relationship is that, you know, here I am, I'm 43 years old, and I believe you're 31?
32.
Just hit 32.
Yeah.
So I feel that you're me 10 years younger. We've got the same mindset, the same drive. We haven't accomplished, although we've accomplished so much, we haven't accomplished anything in our minds. We're not there yet, you know. We're always driving for more. I actually stated this to you yesterday, man. I love how we can bounce ideas off of each other. I love that I say one thing and you say, this is how we can do it, you know? So I think that's just the perfect combination, man. And there's just, I mean, I can go on forever, man. I mean, we've known each other how many years now? 3 years.
Yeah.
3 years. And of those 3 years, man, we spoke very little, but I knew you.
Right.
But now that I've gotten to know you and become part of the team, you know, it's just grown so much, man, and really blessed.
I can describe it in one word.
Go for it.
Truth.
Okay, yeah.
The one thing that's unique between, aside from my marriage is sacred, but friendships, brotherhood, if there's one way to describe how this relationship is unique, aside from any other relationship that I've ever had, would be that we have, and it's work in progress, right?
Yeah.
But we've developed the ability to be very honest.
Yeah. Very frank with each other.
Very true with each other.
Yeah.
And that, my friend, you don't find everywhere, because we are automatically wired to adapt to every situation. As much as you want to be true to yourself, as much as you want to tell someone, man, you're really bothering me right now. I don't like you right now, and I do not want to like you. How many times can you tell into someone without them getting upset and saying, you know what, we're really not friends, man? But if you think about it, somebody that's honest with you, somebody that is real with you, that's love, my friend.
Yeah.
That is love. Is when somebody can look you in the face and say, hey, I thought last time I spoke to you, you told me you wanted to reach the next level. You told me you wanted to become that best version of yourself. You told me you wanted to be a man's man. You told me you wanted to be a great husband. You told me you wanted to be a great father. And now that I'm holding you to it, you're getting upset.
Yeah.
That's love in my eyes. And that's the way I carry my marriage as well. We are always very honest with each other. So I feel like we're making great progress in that aspect of things. And man, and I told you this when we spoke, I never want to get to a point where, because I was afraid to say something, our relationship's at a point where it can't be fixed no more.
Yeah.
And that happens in anything that you do. It happens in your marriage. It happens with your children. It happens with relationships in general. We're so afraid saying the truth has gone out of style. It's not in style no more. Talking and being frank with each other is out of style. And if there's one thing that I want to bring to this show, is the ability to be authentic, to talk about it, to be raw, because I feel that many people can resonate with the desire to open up, the desire to speak the truth, the desire to look at that one person they really love straight in the face and say, I love you, but I need to tell you this.
Yeah.
And if I could describe our friendship in one word, it would be that right there.
Good to go, man. No, yeah, I do believe that, man. I don't think you're so right. We have an amazing relationship, bro. Everything is on the line. Everything is laid out. You don't know anything that I don't know, pretty much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I think one of the things, though, sorry to interrupt you, is just being comfortable in those uncomfortable conversations is key, because I think a lot of people are uncomfortable about having an uncomfortable conversation, and those are the conversations that need to happen. And if we don't address that uncomfortable conversation, then you're procrastinating. And it's interesting how it made a full circle, because it's what's going to happen. You're going to procrastinate on the problem because you don't want to address it, because you're uncomfortable about it. And then 6 months down the line, when you're having to, if you're in a position, right, either above or below, either side, if you're working together with someone, or if you're dealing with someone, and you don't iron out these things, what could be something simple in the long run, you're thinking about not wanting to go to work anymore. You're thinking about, because you're so uncomfortable, because you dislike this person or a way of being or the way they talk to you. But if you would have just, or vice versa, right? You don't want that person employed anymore because you didn't have the conversation that you should have had 6 months prior, but because it was an uncomfortable conversation, you procrastinate on that conversation, when many times our anxiety is only in our head. We have a saying in Spanish, cada cabeza es un mundo. Mm-hmm. And the way I deal with something is different from the way you deal with something. And so when something's a problem for you, it doesn't mean that's a problem for someone else. But you've got an anxiety because you believe that there's an issue between both of you, and that other person has moved on, and it's still affecting you. But if you would have addressed it 6 months ago and said, "Hey, man, I have there's an issue, and I want to bring it up, and let's squash it here," you would have either two things are going to happen. Things are going to go great, or things are going to go bad. But if they go great, well, then you just save yourself 5 months of anxiety. It's
like what they say. It's like what's that saying? It's like drinking the poison and wanting it to affect the other person. So
yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happens when you avoid those conversations. I'm going to give you a quick story, and it's a little intimate, but I think this is where I discovered the power of being honest and being truth. And it had to do with my marriage. And I want to say about a year and a half ago, give or take, Leslie accomplished her dream of graduating college. She became a teacher, and not long after that, she decided to go get a job. And she went off. She got hired by a charter school, and she was teaching high school. And she was finally, I guess, she was finally accomplishing her dream, which was to be a teacher. Graduate college, be a teacher, and it was all fine. I had left my job a year ago. It'd been a year since I left my job, and she started teaching, and I was doing this full time, which was something she wasn't used to. And then, I was having to take care of the kids while trying to, continue to scale and build the business, and while she was teaching. So now she was getting into these long days. Now she was getting into the situation where people control your time. They tell you what time to show up, what time to leave, what time to go to lunch, what time you can go to the restroom. I mean, it's that life.
Yeah, I do.
And man, she was just constantly telling me how stressed she was, and I would tell her, man, I understand. I used to be in that situation. So I would tell her, I understand how you feel. And she was okay with that for like a week of me saying I understand, and then eventually she started to say, no, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you control your time. She's like, you get to show up at whatever time you want. You get to leave at whatever time you want. All you have to worry about is yourself. And you don't know. You don't know where I'm coming from. And this has been a tough topic with just about everybody that I encounter that says or understands what I do for a living. But it got to the point where, fast forward a month, if that, we were in a very bad spot, man. Very, very bad spot. We were about a week away from leaving to a family trip to Cancun, and she flat out told me, she's like, I think this is a good time for you to go take the kids by yourself. I'm gonna stay back, and I'm gonna gather my thoughts. And we were on the verge of divorce.
Wow. Because
we were not having honest conversations with each other. So I still remember that night. We sat on the edge of the bed, and we said, you know what? We're going to give each other permission to be direct with each other. And we're going to have an honest conversation about how we feel. And once we have that conversation, then I think that should give us enough information to really understand where our marriage stands. So I told her the truth. I said, I don't really like you right now. I think we've fallen out of love. And I don't want to feel like this because I still love you. I really want to love you. But just because of certain circumstances or the certain situation we're in, it's made us go in this direction, and I don't like it. So, yeah, I don't know. I can't tell you right now where this is going to end, but right now it's just not looking good for us, right? And obviously she concurred. She told me the same thing. But that in itself kind of freed us and took the chains off and allowed us to really talk about what the issue was, which was not the fact that she was having to go to work and she thought that I could just have control over my time. I mean, that's what her conscious mind was telling her. She was just, she didn't want to work for someone else. That was just the God honest truth. Yeah. Okay. We ended up going on the trip. We came back from the trip, and throughout the trip, I think like the first 2 days, she was still having to submit grades and do all this stuff as we were over there. So she was still like a little uneasy. The trip wasn't great. I'm not going to tell you we had an amazing time, but it was a good time. We got to spend some quality time together. We came back, and I still remember we came back on a Sunday. Monday morning, I pick up the kids. I'm taking them to school, and then I drop them off. I'm heading to the gym, and my phone rings. It's like 8:30, and it's her. And I'm like, wow, that's interesting. So I answer the phone, and she's sitting in the Walmart parking lot on the Walmart at Zaragoza, and all she can say is, I know you can take care of us. I quit my job.
You see, and what's interesting, and this, like I stated earlier, we're so alike. When I was your age, I had just suffered an injury at work, and I had retired from my job, and I was at home. It was a big change for me. We had already gotten married by this time, but it hadn't even been a year, or maybe it might have been a year now. And Michelle was now pregnant, and she had just had our first child. So I want to say it might have been a year and a half. And she was also a teacher. She had been teaching for, man, I don't know, by that time, I think she had been teaching something like 12 years or something like that. And so I took the baby to school because she was going to be moving classrooms, I believe, and it was just the beginning of the school year. And so there she is, moving all the boxes in, and I jokingly, because all the boxes were there, I took my son and I placed him inside the box. For some reason, man, that triggered my wife, and she looked up and she saw him and she said, "I'm done." And I said, like, you're going to come back and do the rest tomorrow, or you're going to come back later? Because she was just moving into that classroom. She was bringing in all the books. She was a science teacher, so she had to bring all the beakers and chemistry sets and all that stuff. And she said, "I'm done." She said, "I'm going to go talk to the principal. He's in the office right now, and I'm going to let him know that I'm not going to be working anymore." And I thought that was so impressive, but she had bigger and better plans. And shortly after that, we started our barbecue company, and got everything going, man. And it's so many people are in that place where they're tired of where they're at, but they don't pull the freaking trigger, man. They don't take the action that needs to be done. And that lack of action has them stuck. And it goes back to that question that I first asked. So many of us sit there and we've got all these bright ideas and do nothing with them, And if they would only put action into those ideas, man, who knows how many multimillionaires we'd have. But instead, they're working for another company, working for a company somewhere, thinking, I want my children to grow up to be more than I am, and I want them to accomplish the dreams that I once had. And then they start living through their children, forcing them to do things that those children might not want, but because the parents didn't accomplish what they wanted or what they feel they should have done, they try living through their children. So if they'd only pull the trigger and get it going, man. And so it took some big ovaries from my wife to decide that, just suddenly up and say, "I'm done."
Yeah, but I think that realistically what it all boils down to is the simple rule of honesty, right? Because that even applies to the relationship you have with yourself, right? Being able to be honest and real with yourself, and say, you know what? Back to the question you asked in the beginning, are you someone who feels like is meant for more?
Yeah.
And if you feel that way, but you're never honest with yourself about it and say, yeah, you know what? Like, I feel that way, but I know I am.
Mm-hmm.
You have that real conversation with yourself. Then, then you take action. Then it's like, okay, yeah, I am meant for more.
Yeah.
I don't belong in this group.
Yeah.
I need to go find my pack.
Yeah.
And if you can't find it, then you build it, for God's sakes.
Damn straight.
That's sometimes what would hold me back. I was always waiting for the right group. Okay, let me see if I can find this group. I couldn't find it. So I said, you know what? The hell with it, man. I'm going to build it. I'm going to build that circle.
Yeah.
Where we can all eat, where we can all sit at the table, where we can all bring some value, you know? And, but it took a lot of guts. That chapter in my life with my wife in my marriage taught me about being honest, just the raw, honest truth. And, it's unlocked so many opportunities for me now that I've developed the ability to be honest, even with myself, which is the person that matters the most at the end of the day, right? It's that relation. The relationship I feel matters most in your life is the relationship you have with yourself, right? If you can look at yourself and have that honest conversation with yourself and say, you know what, Alex, right now, brother, I really don't like you too, right? You're procrastinating.
Yeah.
You're not eating right.
Yeah.
You're not reading.
Yeah.
You're not exercising.
Yep.
You're not being a good father.
No. They'll read, right? We'll read, or people will read, but they're reading all these things on TikTok. They're reading all these things on Instagram. They're reading all these things on all these social media platforms, but nothing that's actually be fruitful, you know?
Yeah.
And it happens to me all the time.
Yeah. And you know, like, when I explained this to you the first time, this week actually was the first time that we were having this conversation about who holds you accountable. You know, like it's easy for you to say, not that you said it, but many people say it's easy for you to say because nobody holds you accountable. For some people, it might be like you're full of shit. There's no way you hold yourself accountable. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, I probably hold my own self accountable more than I hold other people accountable, because I know when I get home, if I didn't get shit done, I'm not sleeping. And I want to rest, man. Like, I don't want to be up all night, tossing and turning in bed, and waking up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning saying, fuck, man, I knew I should have got that done yesterday.
Yeah.
Right? So, with that being said, what has been your experience now that, or has your perspective shifted since I told you that? What was your perspective before? And did it stay the same after I explained that to you, and how I think and how I hold myself accountable?
Well, I think it puts more how do I say it? I think in anyone, right? For anybody in the company, you know, any of the executive officers, if we understand that, you know, you hold yourself accountable for so many things, it almost, how do I say it? It almost, because I don't want to use, it puts a burden, but because it's not like that, but it puts the responsibility of holding yourself accountable on your part as well. Because knowing that, you know, being the CEO of the company, you still have that responsibility or that view of yourself, you know, not just being lackadaisy in your position, but you hold yourself to a certain standard as well. And by saying that, you know, it at least puts in my head that I also have to do my part. You know, I have to hold myself accountable to my part, because nobody tells me what to do in my position of chief marketing officer. So if you've got that on your shoulders and you've got, you know, a whole team beside you or below you, right? If we think about it as a pyramid, then I should also have that on myself. So without even saying it, it almost makes me think that way, you know, but you're not telling me to think that way. Does that make sense?
Mission intended and accomplished.
I guess
right?
so.
Because think about it. You speak to any, not just CEO, because there's many CEOs who are now founders, right? I might, down the line hire a CEO and then I just become the founder at that point, right? But if you speak to actual founders and CEOs of companies, they will all probably tell you the same thing, because there's no way that company reached that level of success without having the ability to hold yourself accountable. Because who else is there to tell you?
Yeah.
Who else is there to tell you every morning, hey, wake up, okay? Go do whatever you got to do, shower, brush your teeth. Don't forget to brush your teeth, man. Brush your teeth, comb your hair. Don't come out looking fucking funky, and make sure you iron your clothes, and show up to work at a certain time. And you leave at a certain time. There's nobody there telling you to do that.
Nope.
And before you know it, you'll look up, a month has gone by, and you haven't done shit.
Yeah.
And nobody's telling you anything. And everybody might think, man, well, that's freaking awesome. Well, that's not what the bank account is saying.
Yeah.
That's not what the wife is telling you. So you, at one point, I believe the people who make it as CEOs and founders, the people who make it are the ones who develop that ability to hold themselves accountable. I speak to myself sometimes like in second person. Like, Alex is somebody that is not me, and I need a answer to that guy, right? And that's the way I view myself. Like, if I don't hold myself accountable like that, nobody will. I know that already. So I can never place myself in that situation ever again if I want to reach that level of success that I'm looking for.
But that's interesting though, because you say people that make it, but what is make it? Everybody has a different standard of what make it means. I work at the grocery store. I've made it. I own my own small business. I've made it. So the thing I think is that not being comfortable, man. Not being freaking comfortable with where you're at. I think a lot of us are not comfortable with what we're at. And when I say not comfortable, is that it's not enough, right? You've got so many of this, and not being comfortable, and that's what gets you up in the morning. That's what makes you get here, and that's what puts that on your shoulders. And you say, you know what, I gotta be there because I'm not comfortable. And once you get comfortable is whenever the problems start. Is whenever you stop scaling. Yeah,
and I guarantee you, very far and few in between those people that you just mentioned can really honestly say, I reached the level of success that I was looking for. Because in my opinion, I don't think your financial status determines the level of success that you've reached. For me, success is having it all. Health, faith, and my family. I want to have all those three. And then comes financial. I think when you line all those three up, when all three of those things are in line, then the financial situation just gets better by default, right? So what I'm looking for when I talk about success is modeling the life to my children, right? So I know one day, because you see it all the time, man. My son plays baseball, right? So you see it all the time. These parents that, they're on the baseball field and they're always telling their kids, "Oye, amigo, tú puedes. You got this, man. You were built for this. Look at your dad. You can play. You got the skill." They're always telling their kids. One day, your son is going to look at you in the eye and is going to tell you, hey, Dad, you're always telling me that I can do it. You're always telling me that I'm capable of doing everything I set my mind to, that I can accomplish all my dreams. What about you? Are you doing it? Are you going after it? Does that come from you? I don't see you doing that every day. That to me is success. When my son can look at me and say, you're my hero, Dad. Like, you didn't just talk about it. You did it, man. That determines success for me. And I have it, like, it's so clear in my mind. I know what I want. I don't want my son to idol this guy on YouTube.
Yeah.
No hate on him. Whoever, all these entertainers on YouTube. But I want to be his hero. I want to be my daughter's hero. And the only way you accomplish that is by walking the talk, man. Yeah.
Oh, you're right. And so many people, man, myself included, we come home and then we complain about things at work. And what example are we setting for our children? If you quit something recently, what example is that to your children? If you decided, you know what, I'm not going to have that uncomfortable conversation and I'm done with this, what example are you setting for your children? That it's easy to quit something? That not being focused is a good thing? Not struggling through that, working through that problem and succeeding is not a thing? That it's easy to give up? Like, how many more things can you think of, Is that the example we want to set? So they're always listening, man. They're always listening. And that's a huge responsibility on us, is to set that right example for our children, because we're laying the groundwork right now, even as we talk, man. You complain about things all their life. You quit work several times throughout their life. And then they go to college and they say, I can't do this. I'm coming back home. And you're saying, no, you gotta stay there. You gotta finish. You need this degree. But what example have you been setting all their life? Why would it not be easy for them to say, I'm done? You sit there and complain about people as you're driving. Oh, these people. Oh, that's why I hate driving. That's why I hate being here. Then they're at school, in college now, or they get that really good job that you think, man, I'm so proud of them. Then they have an issue with their coworker, and they're saying, I'm done. What do you mean you're done? No, that's a great job. But who planted the seed?
We did.
You did.
Children don't listen with their ears. They listen with their eyes. Is everything they see you do. That's how they learn. That's how they listen, right? So, yeah, man, like, for me, that's a big thing. When somebody asks me about success and they automatically expect it's going to be a definition that somewhere in there includes something that has to do with financial status. Not for me, man. Not for me. I know that'll come. But modeling the way, being a man's man, teaching my son to be masculine, teaching my daughter what it is to look for in a man, but not just teaching them, doing it. Mm-hmm. Doing it. That for me means when I achieve that in my life, when I see my children flourish because I didn't tell them I did it, I went after my dreams, I went after my goals. Because I'm going to put it to you this way. When 20 years go by and they ask you that question and your response is, well, Mito, I didn't accomplish my goals because I had to work my ass off to make sure I got you everything you needed. You know what they're going to tell you? Shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Well, that's not going to be me. That's not going to be me. So, I think a lot of parents in general, my opinion is that we think that being there for our children means being there 8 hours a day. Man, our children, at the most, especially at the age my children are, which they're 9 and 6, they probably want to play around with me for 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And then they're tired of me. All right, Dad, I don't want to play with you no more. Cool. But I was present, right? Be where your feet are. I was present for them for a little bit. I played a board game with them, even though I freaking hate it. Those are the things that they're going to remember, you know. But, man, a lot of the times, and we talked about this the other time, and the one who introduced me to this concept was actually Leslie. You know, we talked about the inner child. And a lot of the times, most of our actions with our children, most of the way we want to serve our children is through our inner child. My mom was never there for my baseball games. So now I need to make sure I make it. Mm-hmm. When in reality, that doesn't meet my child's needs. His needs are in that board game that he's been begging me that I play with him for the past week for 20 minutes. And I don't, because I say that doesn't serve me. That doesn't serve my inner child. It serves my inner child when I go to your baseball game. It serves my inner child when we go have dinner together. It serves my inner child when we go to Peter Piper together. Because those are the things that I wanted when I was a child, right?
As Brad Lee would do, man. Like freaking bombs.
But we never serve our children because we never understand the concept of the inner child, man.
If that didn't make sense, guys, like replay that, what he just said in your mind right now. I thought, you know, so many people live vicariously through their children.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, you know, if it doesn't, how'd you say the inner child? If it doesn't serve?
Yeah, if it doesn't serve my inner child, then it doesn't, I don't bother to pay attention to it, you know? And most parents raise their children that way. Whether it's time to teach them a lesson, whether it's time to cherish an accomplishment. We only cherish accomplishments that we wish we would have accomplished when we were children. We only scold our children when they do things that we used to do when we were children, and they bother us. Like, I had a big tendency for just taking a new toy and somehow within 5 minutes I would figure out a way, man, to just break this thing apart. And my mom, bro, she would go live it.
But it's because then again, man, we're dating ourselves here. But then again, bro, that's what Kmart toys were like,
all right?
That's what Kmart toys were like.
And now when I see my daughter, you know, which is very alike, when I see her being, because all that's happening is they're being children, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, she's just, she's being curious. She wants to see what's in there, right? Well, my brain is not processing that. My brain is processing, Alex, you used to get your ass beat when you did that. So then the subconscious mind starts to do its thing, right? It tells you you should scold her because you don't want her to be like you, when it's not at all what's happening. All that's happening at that moment is she's being curious. She's being a child. That's all. That's all that's happening. But most of the time we act out of our inner child, man. And it's not only with our children. It's even with people that are near and dear to us. Friends, uncles, tias, your wife, you name it. Most of the time it's that inner child, man, that comes out. And yeah, man, like I said, I thank Leslie for introducing me to that concept of the inner child. It's been very impactful for me, being the fact that I was raised by a single mother, and most of my cravings as a human come from my inner child, man. And with that being said, I wanna start to bring this thing home, man. And we were talking about this very interesting book that I read not too long ago called Principles by Ray Dalio. And in one of his principles, he said, whenever you can't understand something, look at nature. And there's so many ways, right, that we can look at nature to understand a lot of the deficiencies, a lot of our shortcomings in our lives. And a very interesting one that has to do with motherhood comes from flamingos. Do you know why?
No, I have no idea, man.
Do you know why?
I didn't think you were going to say flamingos.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Do you know why females, flamingos, lose their color? Have you seen that?
They're kind of a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I didn't know they were females. I just saw some were lighter and some were a little more vibrant.
Yeah, look, let's check it out. Female flamingo color. Yeah, it's interesting, man. So female flamingos. We do female flamingos lose their color. Yeah, and it was actually this was a great way for me to explain to Leslie why I have so much respect for females, because for the longest time, Leslie found it odd, that I understood a lot of the struggles of being a mother, because she's like, you're not supposed to know this.
I'm shrugging my eyes thinking, what do you know about motherhood?
Right.
I mean,
well, I saw my mom raise me on a minimum wage job for 15 years, working 18 hours a day, still being a mom, still being a dad at the same time, doing her laundry. She was so old school, bro, that she was the type who Sundays was for laundry, and she would iron and fold all of her clothes. She hung what had to be hung. Like, man, she ran the house.
Yeah.
And I saw her do that.
Yeah. Day
in and day out. And I gained so much respect for women. Like, you have no idea. You have no idea how much respect I have for women. And when women encounter that, it almost instantaneously throws them off. Like, what does this guy know about that?
Yeah.
Because sure, like there's many men that were raised by single mothers, but I don't think we talk about it the way we should, or maybe we were just not aware. We never paid attention to how much a single mother has to do to raise 3 boys, man.
Wow.
All on their own.
Yeah.
So when I saw this concept, I was like, this is a perfect way to explain this to Leslie, and why I have so much respect for women. Okay. So much.
So flamingos lose their color.
So flamingos, as parents feed their chicks the crop milk, they are drained of their color. So much so that their plumage turns into pale pink or white.
Wow.
So
it's really giving of itself. Huh?
Yes. So the giving and the selflessness and taking care of her children, God has allowed us to view physically by the loss of their color how much weight they bear by taking care of their family, by attending to the husband, by attending to the children. They're so selfless, man. They're so selfless. And if God was trying to send us a message, well, mission accomplished, man. Because nature has so many answers for us, but that being one of them. And I really want to... Actually, when I was reading this, I was reading it out loud with Alex in the truck. Mm-hmm. And he asked me to read it a few more times.
Wow.
Because his eyes literally popped out.
And how old is he?
He's 9.
Okay.
And he's like, Dad, what are you saying about Mom? And I said, exactly that. You don't know how much she does for us, Alex.
Yeah. And
you need to realize that. You need to understand that. And you need to cherish you are lucky, my brother. You're blessed to have a mother like the mother you have. And like many other mothers that are out there. But I think nobody talks about this, man. And we should. We should give credit where credit is due. Mm-hmm. And women, they deserve a lot of credit because they're the queen of the house, man. And I'll speak for myself. If it wasn't for my queen, there's no way I'd be sitting here today. She's done so much for me. And man, I just couldn't find a better way to explain that after realizing what nature has to offer through that message from flamingos.
That's really interesting, man. I think that's great. I couldn't agree more, man. Like it's really made me like really think. You know, I'm just it was a different time though, right? Our parents were very different from the way things are now. But I mean, if we treated our wives the way we should be treating our moms, you know, it would be very, very different. A relationship would be very different in regards to what they do, right? We always appreciated our mom. At least we were taught that in the old days, right? We were taught to respect our mom and to value our mom and to see, you know, everything she does for you. And she would make it known. Mm-hmm. You know, they would make it, you know, yo te lavé, you know, I washed your clothes, I ironed your clothes, I fed you, you know, don't talk to me that way. And I think we might forget that, you know, and it's true, man. I mean, they give of themselves literally they give of themselves when they birth every one of those children. And that's right, something that we should celebrate more often. Mm-hmm. Mother's Day, I don't think it comes around often enough, man.
Yeah.
So.
No. Yeah, and I think that's why, you know, a lot of... We were talking about another instance where nature did it again, right? It showed us how powerful mothers can be, because we were talking about what happens when in the wild, a male of a pack, for example, of lions, just decides to take off, right? Next up in line is who?
The lioness.
The lioness.
Mm-hmm.
And they do whatever is necessary to maintain their cubs alive, man. Mama bear is born at that point, and it's time to go, and they don't think about it. They have no second guess. It's time to go, right? And think about how often men, speaking of myself, do that. You know, we don't show up as we should for our families. We don't show up as leaders. We don't show up as caregivers, as providers. And then we can't seem to understand why when we get home, which should be safe haven, it's like World War II, you know? But women will very quickly castrate the man if he doesn't show up as he should, the same way it happens in nature. All right. So yeah, man, I just think there's so much we can gain from nature. I mean, trees. We talked about trees yesterday. If you were to peel layer by layer a mature tree, let's say 10, 15 years old, every layer would have signs of distress. It would have scars because it's been through droughts, it's been through high winds, it's been through other trees being planted beside them and trying to, they're both fighting for territory. But they're persistent. They don't give up. They have discipline, and through those years of fight, they end up being some of the tallest trees. But the only way somehow, or not somehow, but you get an idea of what they went through is if you were to peel layer by layer, man, and you would see their scars, all the stress that they've been through. And the same applies to us. The only people that stay in the game are the people that, or it's men, I'll speak on behalf of men. The only men that are able to stay in the game are the men that develop the resiliency of being able to deal with the stress, of being able to deal with anxiety, of developing coping mechanisms, of being very intentional about self-development, personal growth, and a relentless mindset, and that's why when I learned about trees, I was very intrigued, and I understood, okay, I know what I have to do, I understand what I have to do. I'm gonna have to work on it, and I will. I understand only the toughest minded individuals will survive this game.
Yeah. And with that being said, it's kind of, going back to nature, it's kind of like a set of trees, right? In a forest, only the oldest trees are up, and once that tree dies, then sunlight will come through the canopy of trees, and a new tree can then get that sunlight and grow from it. But in regards to entrepreneurship and growth, if you shine light, and let's make that light, the sunlight, be opportunity, right? If that sunlight's shining, and the tree to the right or to the left grows taller because it's making the most of that opportunity. If the sun no longer shines on the tree beside it, that tree will continue to grow because it's making the most of the opportunity. Mm-hmm. And the tree that beside it that's no longer fighting for that opportunity and has less of the opportunity stays behind. And that's a good analogy for entrepreneurship. There's only so much space in a city. There's only so many people in an area. And let's go to my experience as a barbecue company. If you saturate an area with 10 barbecue companies in this one area, it's really difficult to scale your business, to have customers, because there's so many other people. So if you don't jump on the opportunity, which is the sunlight, and run with it and scale and move and go, you'll stay behind. And then all those opportunities right now, all those businesses that are available, or those locations that are coming up, or if you don't jump on that, you're gonna stay behind.
Not only that, man, but you're doing a disservice to the community, because if you let's say separate yourself from the competition by being very prideful about, you know, customer service or the quality of your product or the responsiveness or whatever you build your brand on, and you don't scale fast enough, you're doing a disservice to the people because you're not servicing them, you know, at the level that you should be servicing them. And there has to be a lot more sense of urgency based on that great analogy that you're giving about the trees, man. Like when the opportunity presents itself, you better be ready to go. Yeah. You know, and you got to lose that fear.
And so you got to put action, right? You got to put action, not just words, but you got to put action towards to get success.
Absolutely. So, as we come to an end, man, what would you say? What would be a piece of advice that you would give your younger self?
I would say put more effort into your own business. How do I say it? So what I would say is, man, this is difficult. If I'm talking to myself, man, it's really tough. And I think this will mean a lot to a lot of people out there, man, because if you only put as much time into your own business as you put into other people's business, how far could you get, man? Like how far? And this is emotional for me, bro. If you put as much time into your own business as you put into other businessmen, how far could you get? You know? People put in 40, 60 hours into working for other people when they don't freaking spend a quarter of that on themselves. If you've got freaking goals, if you've got aspirations or dreams or even freaking thoughts of something that you could do, then freaking put some time into that, man. Water that. Going back to nature, water that freaking plant, man. Give it an opportunity and you'll see that you can flourish from that, man. So if you put so much time into other people's business, man, like put a little bit of time to yourself.
I feel like that's something that really bothers you from your past.
Yeah, bro, because we only have so much time, brother. Mm-hmm. You know, we only have so much time. We can't ever get that back. And so if you've got ideas in your 20s and you don't act on them, your 30s are going to get here no matter what. Your 40s, your 50s. And depending on your health, if you don't take care of it, who knows if you'll see your latter years, your later years. So if you've got if you feel that you are an entrepreneur and you want to do something for yourself, stop wasting time because you can't ever make more time. It's gonna end eventually, and if you don't plant that seed and freaking water it, time will pass, man, and you're just gonna be thinking about what you should have done or what you could have done, and then you're gonna freaking be living through your children.
And what would you say to that person that might not want to do it alone? That might not, because eventually in your entrepreneurship career, and whoever says that's not true is a flat out liar, but you're gonna have to build a team no matter what.
Yeah.
So there's two ways to go about it, right? You can be an entrepreneur where you're a founder, and you can be an intrapreneur where you step in and you help a company scale. Now, the entrepreneur has to die in order for the entrepreneur to be born, right? And there's entrepreneurs who don't understand that. I do. I understand. But what is your take for people that, because I consider you to be taking that path right now. You're and there's not much of a difference from an entrepreneur and an entrepreneur. The only difference is that one took the financial risk in the beginning, but the entrepreneur has all the desire, has all the drive, has all the knowledge, and is ready to build and scale. They share that down to the nearest piece of their heart. They share it. And based on your experience so far with us, what would you say to the entrepreneur who is in a company and is in a place who has the opportunity to build one of the biggest convenience store companies or chain of convenience stores today, because we're fairly new, but there's a bright future for us up ahead. What would you say to somebody in your situation?
Well, for that person who doesn't know where to start, because I think that was your first question. For that person who doesn't know where to start is get out of that comfort zone, man. Get back to that saying, right? Dime con quién te juntas y te diré quién eres. Tell me who you hang out with and I'll tell you who you are. Go shake a hand, man. Go introduce yourself. If there's a conference somewhere, go and sit at a table, go and talk to the people beside you. Don't go to it. You're not going to get anything from it if you don't go. If you go and you sit there with your arms crossed and you don't talk to the people to the right and to the left of you.
Yeah.
Like, go to these events, man. You're spending, who knows how much. But talk to the people around you, man. That's your network. Get it started. If you go to a business and you talk to an owner there, shake their hand, introduce yourself, start talking to people around you, man.
Would you advise somebody that doesn't know where to start, that is stuck in that phase, like, man, I don't even know where to start, right? I know I'm meant for more. Mm-hmm. Like, I know I got more in the tank, but I don't even know where to start. Would you advise that individual to start from scratch, be a founder, or look for a company that is right at the bank of, like, just fucking taking off, man? What would you advise?
I think there's I think you can do both. I think if you have the know-how, if you've got experience, somewhere in whatever, and you feel you can scale the business another way, but you've got all this experience, and put your money on black and go for it, and that scaled it the way you want to scale it. Now if you don't feel comfortable with that, if you don't feel that you're there, that you're at that point, then make your from all that experience, there's going to become opportunity, and so talk to people. Don't be afraid to shake somebody's hand and talk to people, and see if the right opportunity is out there, and that can help you scale as well. You never know, you can become a shareholder in a company that's already established, and you can move forward from there, rather than worrying about starting it from the get-go. So I think you can do both, but it all comes down to shaking people's hands, introducing yourself. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna finish up, and like I've been trying this new technique, right, where 30 minutes before going to bed, I've been tying in the audio book with the physical book, and so I'm listening as I'm reading and following along, and I've been sending you some some of the paragraphs within the chapters, right?
Yeah.
So I want to share with the audience the one that really impacted me yesterday, and we'll get our thoughts gathered, and then we'll call it quits. But it says here, since you're a very, well, at first, you would tell me, man, I'm just a goal-oriented guy, man. I need to know what the goal is. And I would say, man, we just gotta enjoy the journey, man.
Don't focus on the goal.
But so as I was reading this yesterday, I really thought about our relationship. So it says here, when you set a goal, it's very important to keep in mind that most of the time you will be in journey mode. This means you'll be focused on the process and the actions you need to take to get where you want to go. If your goal is to climb Mount Everest and you're only thinking about being at the top, you jam your success mechanism in the present. You've got to take care of each step along the way. Focus on the journey the majority of the time. And occasionally, once or twice per day when you visualize, tune in to the goal. Then get back into journey mode and simply turn your goal over to your subconscious or your success mechanism to guide you there without effort. People who want to improve their financial situation must heed the same advice. If you continually obsess about where you are, as well as where you want to be financially, you're less likely to get there. Program the goal, then get busy on the process. And if you don't know the process yet, give yourself space to allow the process of how to come to you. The how will come to you when you're relaxed, not when you're tense or trying to force your way through the process.
I couldn't agree more with that. You and I spend a lot of time together. When I mean a lot, I mean a lot of time. We see each other more than we see our wives.
Yeah.
But I'm lucky enough to have a great work environment. And so I think that's something that helps our productivity so much, is that our work environment is so upbeat and so not relaxed, but comfortable, right? We're comfortable in our space. I'm comfortable in what I do. You're comfortable in what you do. We're proactive, and we're having a good time while being proactive. And when there's a problem, we're able to think about it, or we're able to not think about it. We're able to break that problem down and find the resolution. I think we do it easily because we're enjoying what we're doing, man. And so I really agree with that, man. And I think it goes on to say that, like, being outdoors is where we think best, you know.
Mm-hmm.
When you're out fishing, when you're out hunting, when you're out hiking,
Going for a walk,
bro.
Yeah.
And for me that goes to a special place because I was a backpacking leader for Team Red, White, and Blue here in El Paso, and and that was a way for me to deal with my issues, man, with my PTSD and with my trials and tribulations in life. I was getting out to the outdoors, man. So I really believe in the outdoors being a great place for your mental space. So yeah, man. I mean, get outdoors. I mean, a lot of businessmen like to go and talk about business while they do what?
Exercise. Drink.
Okay. All right.
Everywhere.
I one of the places that I know of where people go and talk about business the most is on the golf course. They go out to the golf course, man. They're out there on a green grass, in the trees, with hearing the birds. watching the alligator go across the freaking, the ninth hole or whatever. And that's where they're thinking about how they want to collaborate, how they want to work together, how they want to do this stuff. So for me, man, getting outdoors, man, is a big thing. So I think, we're talking about us. I think we're blessed to have that space, and I think that's what is moving this company ahead. And we're just gonna have an amazing story, man.
Yeah, and like for me, and it's interesting how we both, we're both sitting here reading the same, or I'm reading it, but we're listening to the same thing, and we both end up catching two separate messages, right? It's interesting. Yeah. Because for me, it reified it just what I've been saying, where it's like, man, enjoy the journey. Like, I understand where we want to go, but I know the more I focus on the goal, the more stress I get, the more anxiety I get, because my goal is very big, and I know it's going to take time. I know it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to take a couple of years, but a couple of years are going to pass anyway. So why stress about that? Enjoy the journey, man. Enjoy the walk when you're hiking, instead of looking at the peak, instead of looking at the summit, man, look around you, enjoy, stop for a little bit, if your knees are hurting, make that the reason why I'm stopping, so
well, sorry to interrupt, but
no,
I mean, it's just it would be in the aspect of hiking, right? It would be like walking to the summit of Guadalupe Peak, right? The tallest peak in Texas, but having your eyes closed the whole way there. Like, you're not taking in any of the views. You're not taking in the flowers to the right or to the left of the path. You're not looking at any part of it, and it would be wrong. It would be dumb.
Yeah.
Right. So, it makes more sense to, if you put it that way, to enjoy the journey, because you can put it back in dang nature.
Yeah.
Fucking everything goes back to fucking nature.
Yeah. And the more you hear about it, man, like the more, especially the people that I like to listen to, like Bradley and Andy Elliott, Patrick David, and Andy Frisell, all these guys, even Alex Ramosi talks about, man, sometimes I wish I could go back and be back in the fight, because, like it's not as challenging anymore, and I love the challenge. I embraced the challenge, and to the listeners, and I'll speak for myself, that, I'm not at that level yet, right? Sometimes I might perceive it as he's just being cocky, or he says that because he's already there, but man, they're speaking the truth. So enjoy the journey, man. Like, I get it. We gotta have goals, because it's part of being. It should be part of the formula when you're creating a machine. In order to reach success, you need to have goals in place. I get it, but only focus on those. Once you've figured out the goal, only spend a little bit of time on that goal. Man, I know one day we're gonna be there, but then get back to work. Because if you just dream on that goal and there's no action, you're not actually doing things to propel the business forward, then you can spend all the time you want trying to dream about that goal and trying to formulate that goal. You're not gonna get anywhere, because there's no action, and there's more anxiety than anything because you're so far away. So I'm more about the journey. And I know the first time we talked about it, you were like, no, I gotta have a goal. And I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. Like, you do have to have a goal, but I'm more of the journey guy. And I think this is where the yin and the yang happens, where you're more goal oriented and you're like, all right, let's structure the goal. But then right when you wanna get stuck on the goal, I tell you, okay, well, it's time to move then. Like, I get it. Like, we have a goal, but Renee, it's time, bro. Like, we got to move. Oh, yeah, you're right. Let's go. But before, I didn't even have goals. So it's worked out perfect.
Yeah.
Now that you're a goal-oriented guy, and then once you pass that goal on to me, then we start to move on it, you know? So it works out perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, so yeah, we're almost done. I just want to say that it doesn't matter how little you've done. If you've already got started working on your own business, don't think that somebody else is in a better place. Like, oh, they've made it. You know, that whole make it thing. If you're a real entrepreneur, man, you've never made it. Like, you're always striving. You're always striving for more. So it doesn't matter what part of the journey you've started, you're already one step ahead of all those that are still thinking about it. So if you've already got it started, man, don't stop. Keep going. Don't get discouraged because you see that other people are making it, quote unquote, and you're not making it, because compared to other people, you're making it and they're not making it. And that goes for everybody. You know, IBM can look at Apple, freaking Ford can look at Chevy and say, oh, that they made it. You know, they're making it with that vehicle, or they're doing this. Don't give up, man. Keep striving. Keep putting one foot in front of the other and freaking get it going.
Yeah. Slow progress is better than no progress.
Yep. 100%.
100%.
Yep.
100%. All right, man. Well, it was a great conversation. It was a lot of fun. It's going to continue to get better. I think we'll be back on Monday.
Yeah, we will.
we need to start Mondays. And if you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to share it with your friends. That's the only fee for the show. We're not doing this for money. We're not doing this for fame. We're really just doing this to try to help and share the troubles and tribulations, right, of the everyday life of an entrepreneur that is in the early stages of building. And I think there's so much value there, because we need more people, more entrepreneurs that are in the early stages talking about the challenges that you face when you don't have the financial literacy, when you don't have all the legal knowledge, when you don't even have a lawyer on the payroll. You know, you have to learn about law. You have to learn about reading contracts. You know, you have to learn about easements. You know, you have to learn about all these things that, yeah, you've been in the game for 10, 12 years, but there's still a lot more to go, buddy.
Yeah, we're all learning.
Yeah. So with that being said, if you don't follow me already, do you have an Instagram?
I do, but I don't have one for this yet.
Okay.
It's for the barbecue company.
Well, we need to get you one.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. So my personal Instagram is @officialAlexMaldonado. And then we're going to get one for Renee in the upcoming show. We'll have it ready.
Yeah.
But make sure you go follow. We'll also have the Instagram podcast page up soon. And until then, peace.
Guys, if you're getting something from this, or you believe that somebody else can get something from this, please like, subscribe, share. You know, let them know. If you're a mother or a father and you're listening to this, you want to send this to your friends, to your children, please send it. Peace, guys. Never give up.